Ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
I'm part of the Kliq, isn't everybody?
Yes! 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 I got an idea, yeah. Beat up John Cena!
Give me a hell yeah!
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Too sweet! Here goes the mother! This is where the power lies!
I am the man.
We need if you can survive!
It's showtime, folks!
The following episode is scheduled for one fall, and it is for your listening pleasure. This is In The Kliq.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and sitting right next to me is my brother, Tommy. How's it going, Tommy?
Holla if you hear me.
Wow, Tommy finally said something different.
Oh, my God.
I'm channeling my Scott Steiner because I'm watching his nephew just recently made his pro wrestling debut, and I'm just on that fix of Scott Steiner.
Tommy wants to be a Steiner brother now so bad.
Dog face gremlin, Rick Steiner.
And that dog barking you hear is our good brother from Pro Wrestling 101 on Instagram. It's Richard. How's it going, man?
My name is Richard Alexander Ross, damn it, and I am the golden relic of human accomplishment. A goddamn handsome man. The man of the hour, the man with the power, too sweet to be sour. The men's fret, the women's regret. What you see is what you get, and what you don't see is better yet.
Wow.
I'm a loaded sex pistol, and I'm ready to explode. That's a Scott Steiner line for you.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Oh my
Beautiful.
God. I feel like I need to cut a promo or something now Richard's flexing the muscles. While you do that, I'm going to take another sip of my my Coors Banquet in honor of Cobra Kai Season 3 dropping a couple days ago on Netflix.
So are you
It's so
saying,
good.
Richard, do you have a 33 1/3 chance of winning the match?
I do.
Okay.
Steiner math.
The Steiner math.
That's great.
Right there.
But yeah, no, I'm mixing up. So, normally I have one of Stone Cold's Broken Skull IPA beers during our episode recording, but I thought I'd mix up. Yeah, go to the Coors Banquet in honor of Johnny Lawrence, his
Go-to beer
on Cobra Kai. Like, I wonder if Coors Banquet is getting like a huge payday. Are they paying for that like product placement? Every episode, Johnny is drinking a Coors Banquet on Cobra Kai.
I'm sure.
It's even Cobra Kai talks about it on Instagram or social media. Coors Banquet on their Instagram have been promoting it, so it must have been like a huge. I would love to figure out the ins and outs of that product placement deal. But now my dad and I.
I'm just messaging Stone Cold right now about what you're doing.
Oh
so.
No, I'm cheating on him for one night.
Yeah, for one night.
Which I'm a little bummed. It looks like he's not going to be part of Legends Night tomorrow night.
Okay. Look how many other legends we got.
It's what is it? Carlito.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Melina.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in a little bit. But no, thanks again, Kliqsters. Happy New Year, pal. If I haven't said so yet, Happy New Year to you, Richard. It's our first episode of In The Kliq in 2021, the new year, fresh start, a lot of exciting things in the works as always. So remember, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, rate, comment, share, give us 5 stars.
Danny, the line is rate, review, and subscribe. That's
Right.
all you gotta say. Rate, review, and subscribe. And don't forget to get our new t-shirt. Where can they get that t-shirt, Danny?
Over at Teespring, or to make it real simple, if you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, just click the link in that bio. It's right there at the top of our Linktree page. So very easy. But yeah, Teespring is the website that has all that good stuff. InTheKliq@gmail.com. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We're all up to date with all of our latest episodes and interviews. So much stuff. There's so much In The Kliq stuff. Like literally, I've been on vacation the last 2 weeks, and since it's been a staycation, I've been catching up on all the In The Kliq stuff. So plenty of content for all you guys out there to
I've been on vacation
absorb.
for 6 months, pal.
Yeah.
Vacation's over this week.
You and I both. We go back to work this week, so looking forward to that. So, a lot of stuff to get into this week for WWE. Of course, they had Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. We'll get down through each episode like we always do. So first things first, let's jump over to Monday Night Raw this week. And for them, they kicked off the show with a graphic that said, in memory of John, and then quotations, Luke Harper, Huber. So very fitting. That was cool. Obviously, they acknowledged the passing of Brody Lee, a.k.a. Luke Harper, John Huber. So I'm just happy that WWE acknowledged it, because there was a lot of people questioning how WWE was going to handle his passing, a former WWE superstar who's over at the competition for the last 9 months. So were they going to take the time and acknowledge him and do a video package and all that stuff? So the show started out with that graphic, and then Tom Phillips, after like the little intro for the show, Tom Phillips said, "It's Monday, you know what that means." And then he goes into a whole spiel. I thought that was very cool. And then Drew McIntyre comes out, and he says, also, "It's Monday, you know what that means." Yeah. So I thought it was very cool, both of them acknowledging Luke Harper to a certain extent, and like a little Easter egg wink to the eye to the cameras that their fallen brother who was passed away this week. So, but with that being said, it did raise a lot of attention on Twitter or social media from the wrestling universe out there. A lot of people questioning WWE, what they did. So that's all we saw on Monday Night Raw this week, was that initial graphic. And then the rest of the night, they didn't do anything. Didn't have any video packages or anything else lined up. A lot of people were frustrated, apparently. And then word came out that WWE had been filming stuff with the WWE superstars, friends of Luke Harper, Brody Lee, whatever you want to call him by. And I'm guessing the reason they didn't have anything lined up on TV right away was he passed away 2 days earlier. So they had less than 48 hours to have something made.
And a lot of times when they have a passing of a legend or someone, they put those video packages together before they're dead. Typically, like if they know that someone's getting older or someone's getting sick, then that's common in publishing in general. So like
they're anticipating.
Yeah, a lot of newspapers and magazines already have articles on so and so. So
you're talking about like maybe like the older superstars.
No, they do that on younger people too in Hollywood.
Really?
So yeah. So to me, this is a guy that's 41.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was WWE's place to necessarily jump the gun ahead of AEW and have this big tribute, because what happens if WWE has a bigger tribute than what AEW has planned? Mm-hmm. These companies don't work together. So it looks terrible for AEW if WWE did this great ginormous thing and they didn't have time to prep for it, because WWE has gone through this several times.
Yeah. So that was the thing. For me, my initial reaction when WWE didn't have like a 10-bell salute or the roster standing up on the ramp there and maybe a video package kind of summing up his career with WWE, I interpret it as it was such a fresh situation that WWE was planning something. They didn't have enough time to maybe get something together. So, which I know in some ways that seems a little weird, because in other unfortunate passings over the last 10 plus years, they've been ready on the call with that stuff being ready. As you said, sometimes they have a lot of that stuff in the can ready to go. So, but then you brought up a good point is, okay, I think WWE's like, you know what? He most recently worked for the competition. Let them have the moment to shine first, and not to take any.
It's out of respect, I think. You know, like the 10-bell salute should go to the company that the guy works for. And there was a former WWE employee that decided to speak out and selfishly made it about himself.
Yeah.
I just thought, that's pretty classless. I thought what WWE did was good, because they have 3 shows. So we saw the signature at the beginning of all 3 shows.
Yeah.
And you saw talent with the armbands. Mm-hmm. And the talent were really the ones that were going out there, and they were the people that knew him best.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the other thing too, is keep in mind. So yeah, at the start of each show, Raw, NXT, SmackDown, they had the graphic. And then, various wrestlers who knew Brody had their armbands. And then various wrestlers, which we'll get into later in the show, but we're doing signature moves of him or poses in the ring just to pay tribute. Big E even referenced his wife and his son, saying Amanda and Nolan in his little backstage promo. So there were little Easter eggs WWE and their superstars were doing. And then as the reports were saying, they were working on some sort of video package, and they had wrestlers backstage filming stuff. And then on their YouTube page, they did release a tribute video to Brody Lee. So I put that on In The Kliq's Facebook and Twitter page if you want to watch that, or just go to WWE's YouTube page. But also at the start of every show this week, they also posted stuff on social media. So I think WWE, as far as being the company he no longer worked for, I think they did a pretty good job at still paying tribute to him. Like I said, with the graphic at the beginning of the show, social media posts at the start of every show. They did make a video package. Now, I wonder, will they show that video package on an actual live episode of one of their TV shows? I don't know yet. I was kind of surprised they didn't put that on SmackDown, maybe, because I thought, okay, they're taking the time putting this together and they're going to put it on SmackDown. We didn't see on SmackDown this week, so I don't know if that's going to be exclusive only for their YouTube page, or will they actually take the time and maybe on Raw this week actually play that video on live TV?
It'll either be on YouTube or the free version of the WWE Network, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, too. This last weekend, they had, like, a bunch of articles on him created and shared on social media. They had, like, his top matches, like a playlist on YouTube. So WWE did a lot for him. And so, but as you said, I think out of respect to the current company he worked for, AEW, they let that company get the 10-bell salute with the roster, the tribute show, and all that stuff. So I think this week was a lot of love for Brody Lee from both WWE and AEW, respectively. So, very cool to see just the wrestling community as a whole come together. So after that, as I said, Drew McIntyre comes out to the ring, starts cutting a promo. Sheamus comes out, and they're talking about, potentially, they're friends. They want to win that. Sheamus is going to defeat Keith Lee tonight, and he wants to go after the WWE Championship here. Keith Lee comes out and explains, he doesn't trust Sheamus, and then Sheamus goes back and says, "That's why I bro kicked you, because you keep going around telling people I'm going to turn on my friend." So, we see kind of just all three of them going at it before Drew McIntyre ultimately sits at commentary, and there's a match between Keith Lee and Sheamus, and the winner gets a title shot this coming Raw. So, Richard, what do you think of just that opening segment here with all three of them, and then ultimately the match itself?
The match itself was very good. I fast forward the promo because I didn't want to hear promos to start my wrestling viewing this week. So
yeah. This is the thing. I think in so many ways, what Sheamus said was kind of true. You kind of side with Sheamus. I think a lot of people think he's just going to turn on Drew McIntyre. And he said, like, I'm tired of you, Keith Lee, going around telling people I'm going to turn on him. So that's why I kicked you after the match. During the match, it was all fair. We worked on the same team. Then once the match was done, that's why I struck you with my kick. So I think from Sheamus, he does have a valid point as far as where he's coming from in all this. So now I'm a little curious here as far as, okay, we're going to get Keith Lee versus Drew McIntyre on the next episode of Raw. I was kind of hoping they maybe would have saved that for the Royal Rumble. I'm guessing maybe it might be a triple threat at the Royal Rumble. If I had to just early predictions, I bet something's going to happen in this match. A little bit of a wonky finish, and then Keith Lee and Sheamus are probably going to be both going after Drew at Royal Rumble, if I had to guess. But, it is what it is. I'm excited for the matchup, though, for Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre on Raw this week. I'm sure it's going to be very hard-hitting. And then next up, we saw Grand Metalik take on The Miz. The Miz is very, losing, has like no confidence ever since he lost the Money in the Bank briefcase. And with that being said, I was a bit of a shock here. Grand Metalik of Lucha House Party picked up a win. But yeah, Richard, what do you think of this match between the two?
I like the match itself very much. Grand Metalik, I like that he's getting some shine right now, it looks like.
Yeah.
But that match was surprising because it's two people you wouldn't expect to have a good TV match like that, and it was pretty good.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's that's starting to turn into a story for the night as far as Miz trying to pick up the pieces after losing the Money in the Bank briefcase. And so this match with Grand Metalik, I thought was very good. I'm happy for Grand Metalik. He picked up the victory here just because we're so used to them lately just running around for that 24/7 title. So to see them in an actual high-profile match here again, awesome stuff here. Next up, we saw Shayna Baszler take on Dana Brooke. And, to Dana Brooke's credit, I think she's been really getting better in the ring as of late. I think we talked about this before. So she's doing really good. Ultimately, Shayna Baszler picks up the win. And then, was it Nia, I think, beat up Mandy Rose. So, a little back and forth with their tag team partners. So, I'm kind of curious where Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax are going to go from here. Now that they're no longer women's tag team champions. I wonder if they're going to eventually go at it, or maybe Dana Brooke and Mandy, maybe it's going to be a tag match. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a tag match between the two of them here coming up.
I'm guessing at some point, probably the Rumble, that we're going to get a three-way for the tag team belts. And I don't know if that's going to be the 3 teams on Raw or a team from Raw and a team from SmackDown, but women's tag team wrestling is starting to pick up pretty good.
Yeah, and we've been seeing a lot of that, and I think that's kind of the bonus of having Charlotte and Asuka as the champions. I mean, they're 2 of the greats of their division currently, and so with that being said, I think they're kind of stepping the whole division up as a whole as far as challengers go. So I'm looking forward to what's next for them, and we'll talk more about SmackDown this week about what we saw there. Next up, we saw Alexa Bliss, her segment. She's doesn't know when the Fiend's gonna come back, and she says Bray Wyatt is very excited for Legends Night this coming week, and he wants to meet his favorite wrestler, Hulk Hogan. So that would be interesting if the Fiend did meet Hulk Hogan, how that would play out,
brother.
And so and then Randy Orton shows up inside the Firefly Funhouse that was up on the big screen, and he starts talking crap back to Alexa, rips the head off of the rabbit, and then Alexa challenges Randy to for a match at the end of the night. So what'd you think initially, Richard, of just like Randy Orton showing up into the Firefly Funhouse and just kind of this continuous ongoing back and forth with Alexa Bliss?
Very good. I think this combination of people is you can't really do any wrong with it at the moment. So, it's when you say it out loud the way you just did, it sounds really silly. Yeah. But when you watch it, you're invested in it, and the way she's selling it, and the outrage with the puppets getting their heads removed, and then she just gets angry. It's great.
Yeah, and I think what they're trying to set up is, I think for Randy Orton, he thinks, okay, to get back at get back at the Fiend and make sure he's really gone, I have to go after Alexa Bliss now, because that's been the connection as far as if something happens to Alexa Bliss, that will get the Fiend out hiding from wherever he's at least before their match at TLC. So I think, for Randy Orton to make sure the Fiend's really gone, he's going to have to keep going after Alexa Bliss, and I think that's why he accepted the challenge for the end of the night. And I really, to me, it's kind of amazing how easy it is for these WWE superstars to appear inside the Firefly Funhouse. Like, we've seen Seth Rollins, get there in the past. Like, I always thought, like,
John Cena got there.
And I think there was a rumor that they might have a Firefly Funhouse match at Royal Rumble. So I don't know if it would be like an updated version with the Fiend and John Cena did at WrestleMania last year, I should say now. So that'd be kind of interesting if Randy Orton's down for that. So we'll see how it goes. It hasn't been officially announced yet. But anyway, I dug the segment as far as Randy, he's trying to get back at Bray Wyatt. So he's going to his territory. He's calling out his girl or sidekick, whatever you want to call it. So I'm enjoying all that. We also saw AJ Styles take on Elias, but earlier in the night. So we see Elias and Tommy, who's his bodyguard now?
Almost.
No, for Elias.
Gunner.
Gunner, yeah,
Gunner for TNA.
Jackson Riker.
So they're in the room, and like Elias is warming up, trying to be like a concert, and then they hear pounding at the door. And AJ Styles and Omos comes in, and they're complaining that Omos can't listen to his music or something. I don't know. AJ Styles made me laugh here because I think he tried to say Mozart, but he mispronounced it. He said Mozart or something.
I did notice that.
That sounds like Carney.
It's we said, "Try to listen to Mozart here." So, I don't know. AJ, like, he has his moments. He's trying to be a heel, and it's just so funny to me. Like,
he's too entertaining.
Yeah, it's great, and like I really started to dig him and Omos as a pairing. Like, Omos comes in the room. It's just it's such an odd like couple here. But it's so, I find it engaging to watch. And then ultimately we see AJ Styles take on Elias here. And, you know, it was kind of cool, like a little bit of a fresh matchup here. I think hopefully WWE will start giving us more of these fresh matchups. So what'd you think of Elias and AJ going at it?
I thought it was fine. I mean, that's about it, the extent. I mean, that's kind of my feelings towards the show in general.
Yeah. For this week or just in lately?
Just this week. Like, usually I'm pretty positive on Raw, but this was, I wasn't into Raw this week much.
Yeah, no, that's rightfully so. I feel you. I think, you know, while we did get some fresh matchups here, I think overall it's just still kind of going through the motions still. I mean, AJ Styles did pick up the victory, rightfully so. So good for him. I just, where does he go from here? Like, okay, he lost the title to Drew McIntyre. Like, does he go after the U.S. Championship at some point? I don't know. I just, you know, AJ Styles is arguably the best of this generation. So I just don't know where does he go as far as 2021 goes, as far as where his career, because I don't know. Be interesting to see. Next up, we saw Mustafa Ali take on Ricochet. Back and forth here. Mustafa Ali picks up the victory over Ricochet. He's still trying to persuade Ricochet, to join Retribution. And Ricochet had a great showing at one point. He took out Mustafa Ali. He DDT'd T-Bar, like all in this like quick like span of like, I think 15, 20 second window there. Great performance. But it's like Ricochet, he wins one week, he loses another week, and then he wins another week. So I feel like for him, it's been stop and go as far as building momentum. I just don't know where you go with this story. Does Ricochet ultimately join Retribution, kind of like how John Cena joined Nexus, and just goes along with that? Or does he tear it up, or he joins as a way to tear it apart from inside?
If he doesn't join, he needs to find some friends, right?
Yeah.
And if he does join, then they also need to add someone else that's credible, because right now that group is not credible.
Yeah. Well, okay. How about, so you're saying for Retribution, I wonder, I just don't know how long this can go for. Like, I'm kind of, I think Retribution's really starting to lose some momentum now. So I don't know.
The momentum's gone. I mean, it's a matter of trying to pick it back up. And they can't do that with who's in it right now, because we don't know who any of these people are. Like, I've seen whatever his name is. Whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I don't really know who the guy is, even from watching NXT. I know that he has the potential to put on good matches with bigger guys.
Yeah.
But like the other people, like, I don't know who any of them are, like, at all. I know who Mia Yim is. Yeah. But the others, I'm not even invested into Mustafa Ali, and I wasn't before this. So, me, I just don't give a shit. Like, none of them are like people I'm invested with. None of them, to me, were heels before this. So it's like, I don't get what they are.
Yeah.
I'm tired of giving it a shot and waiting for it to work out. It doesn't do anything. They don't have anyone of credibility in it. So it's not credible.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I really lost all like hope of caring about them as a threat. Like, originally they were brought on as like this faction that was going to take down WWE, of like a group of hooligans who were going to destroy everything. And now, once they kind of get the group established, it's become more of a joke, and like nothing's really believable. And when they haven't like done anything successful.
This is WWE's dork order.
Yeah, I mean, it's a. You would think it would be this like really badass faction of everyone, you know, on the same page, you know, the same look and the gimmick. But yeah, it's not turning into anything legit. No. I mean, they're just jobbing out to other people now. And
you want to make it good, put Karrion Kross as the leader with Scarlett.
Wow. Wow. Just think about that now.
Yeah. Because this is a bullshit group. This is like Nexus, and because Nexus, at the end of the day, Nexus made that debut, and that's it for Nexus.
I know, and that's
their
what
impact
sucks.
on wrestling is nothing.
Yeah, I at the time I was trying to get all excited, but then at the same time, like I don't know any of these guys that well, and then ultimately they were just made just to put over John Cena. Like John Cena beat them all, so he was really Super Cena at that point. So I get what you're saying. I don't know what you do here. I don't know. Maybe Ricochet and Mustafa Ali have a match like loser leaves, maybe, and then maybe
what does that accomplish though? Like
that's how you write off Retribution
with the players of this group. It doesn't matter. Like none of these people, including Ricochet, matter. Yeah. Like Ricochet, the last time Ricochet was hot was when he was working with AJ, and even then, like it was hot, but it was hot for the pay-per-view payoff.
That's why I'm more frustrated is. Like Retribution, whatever, but Ricochet, the fact that he's just floundering below the mid-card scene right now, it's ridiculous. He's such an amazing talent. Now, I know he's not the best on the mic and all that stuff, but yeah, I really want
where do
Ricochet.
You put him? He has no, like, verbal character.
Yeah.
Like, he's as bland as it gets. Like, that's the thing. Like, you have these indie darlings, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But the indies are not known for their hot promos. So and when you're on TV and you have a mic in your face, you're either going to take the ball and run with it or drop it.
Yeah, you're right. And that's the thing. Like, as much as we love going to indie shows, they just go from match to match. You don't see a lot of character work. And that's what I think what separates indie wrestling from, the mainstream shows we see on TV. It's like you really got to have a total package. Not only your in-ring work, your mic skills, and your presentation, your gimmick. And that's the thing with Ricochet was like, you go online, you see all these highlight videos of him and other promotions. That's great, but like, what's his character? Who is he? What's he all known about? I mean, I know in Lucha Underground he was Prince Puma, so at least he had some form of a character name and look, but that was just for Lucha Underground.
I think the fans also put a certain amount of microphone expectation on the performers where they need to be The Rock or Dusty Rhodes or Hulk Hogan. And it's like, you don't have to be that good. Like if they're as good as Rick Rude is, then you're fine. And Rick Rude didn't have a specific catchphrase, but he was good on a promo. Like as long as you're good on a promo, because I think people try to be the best on a promo, and it's like, just be good. Like you don't have to be the best. Just do a decent job on the mic so we're not bored. Because like that's my big thing with Nia Jax. Because I used to love Nia Jax's in-ring, and then they gave her the mic all the time, and it's like my opinion of her dropped severely. Because it's just like, oh my God, like she's just yammering on about nothing.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you as far as like for some of these guys, as far as when it comes to cutting a promo, as long as you just convey your emotions and what your motivation is for this match to exist, that's fine. But some of these guys can't even get that across, or it doesn't feel legit.
And it's funny because the internet puts the blame on the company. It's like, oh, they wrote that for them. It's like not all of it, and I don't think they mean for them to say it verbatim. Like these are not actors, but like Drew McIntyre's gone out and said like they'll give me bullet points for things to hit, and I nail it, and he's phenomenal.
Yeah. So
and he wasn't really known for being a promo guy before this year.
Yeah. So I'm with you as far as both these guys. Like when they come up, it's like, okay, sure, athleticism is great. They can do a bunch of stuff in there, but I want more from both of them. So
yeah,
I don't know what's going to happen.
And as long as you don't pull a big cast, like you can have some creative fun with your promos. It's funny to me how, well, that's what they wrote for them, that excuse, but it's like people bash on the Dusty Rhodes and polka dots thing. Let me ask you this: was Dusty Rhodes over in the polka dots? Over like an MFer, right?
Yeah,
super over. Does it really hurt? No. Like it's what you do with the character and what you're given. And it's like, I don't think today's talent are as capable of wrestlers as they were 20, 30 years ago.
As far as adapting to what's given to them.
about wrestling in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, the moves are great. The moves are great, but the moves are not what you're going to remember. You're going to remember a match for its body. Hulk Hogan versus The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
It is the most basic of moves, and it is one of the best matches ever.
Mm-hmm.
So
that pop, I mean, just seeing both of them look at each other and then look around.
Yeah,
the crowd
exactly
going nuts. It's
and
amazing.
There's no other reaction in a crowd like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So we'll see.
I can tell you point for point how that match went. I remember it. Like I can't tell you point for point how Ricochet and Will Ospreay's match went, other than that they didn't sell anything.
They did a lot of flips and stood up and looked at each other and people
a lot
clapped.
of staring and swearing and all kinds of other bullshit.
Yeah,
it was a stunt show.
Yeah.
It was a stunt show.
Next up, we saw Charlotte Flair take on Nia Jax. Charlotte Flair ended up winning with the DQ. So
I liked this match, and the internet hated it.
Really?
Because they thought that Nia was being safe with Charlotte because they were actually wrestling. So the internet hated it because they had a real wrestling match.
Yeah.
So internet wrestling community, Twitter, you don't know wrestling and you don't like wrestling, so stop watching.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. You just can't please
I'm
anyone.
hot.
I know. It's insane.
I'm half hot. This is half
Tell us
hot.
how you really feel, Richard.
Next up, we saw 8-man tag. We saw the Hurt Business take on the New Day, and I guess it's now officially
This was
the
very good.
Hardy Bros. I guess even WWE filed for a licensee for the name, so Jeff Hardy and Matt Riddle. What'd you give this match here?
I thought it was highly This was the peak of Raw for me.
I mean, Tommy, you were telling me it was cool because you saw like Xavier Woods doing a lot of tribute for Luke Harper.
Yeah, he did a couple moves in honor of Brody Lee. He did the springboard thing on the ropes. That's what Luke Harper did.
Yeah,
and he did the lariat, of course. And you could hear Tom Phillips' voice when he hit the lariat. He was going, yeah.
That's awesome. So
let me ask you this:
I noticed that.
Do you think part of the reason they cooled off on Retribution is because unexpectedly the Hurt Business got so hot?
Yes,
that's probably it.
Only one faction can take off at a time.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, it just felt like we woke up to the Hurt Business being the coolest thing in wrestling one Monday or Tuesday.
Well, and the timing of it, they're both came up at the same time, and the Hurt Business was more organic. While Retribution, you could tell, was something someone created backstage and was starting to be forced down our throats. And
that really took off when they added Cedric. But the thing that they have that Retribution doesn't have is 3 familiar faces.
Yeah, and we actually can't see their faces.
Yeah, but we've seen those 3 for the last 20 years. So
yeah.
Or, give or take.
Yeah, so I hear what you're saying. So no, a great match here. Her Business picks up the victory, which is good. I think as far as picking up a win over, New Day, one of the greatest tag teams ever. Jeff Hardy, a legend in his own right, and then Riddle, who's going to be hopefully one of the big shining stars for years to come. So a big win for Hurt Business, keeping their momentum going. And I really want 2021 to be a big year for Hurt Business. Next up,
and for Riddle too.
Oh yeah, for Riddle as well. It looks like he's hopefully going to be re-signing with WWE very soon. There's been a lot of back and forth going, so hopefully he's not going anywhere. Next up, we see a backstage segment of Miz and Morrison. It looks like probably up in the 200 section of the arena, or at least somewhere where some stairs going up to the seats are.
They're in the bleachers.
And Miz is very disappointed. He lost earlier, doesn't have the briefcase, and he just looks so depressed. And then Adam Pearce comes walking up and more or less just hands him the briefcase and says, "You're right. Morrison was the one who turned in the briefcase, cashed it in, so you didn't. You get to keep the briefcase, get it back." And Miz was so happy, and the two of them started dancing. So I don't know, man. I'm a little
not a
frustrated.
fan of it.
I'm frustrated.
Not a fan of it.
Exactly.
So the history books need to be rewritten that Drew McIntyre won by disqualification in a ladder match.
Yeah, as far as the Miz interfering,
he joined the match. They rang the bell and added him, and it's why?
Even I think people were mentioning, remember when Brock Lesnar cashed in? Paul Heyman was the one who gave the briefcase over. So it's like, okay, do you rewrite that moment as well? So there's been other times where someone else hand over the briefcase and then the person cashed. And then the thing was, the Miz wrestled in the match and ring the bell. So it's like, that's the official part. So there's a little detail. I'm frustrated. It doesn't make sense.
It kind of makes it feel like it was a waste of a use. Because, like, I'm not a fan of that stipulation in general. I get why they do it, because if your reigning champion gets injured, it's an easy way to put the belt on someone else.
And also, with the Money in the Bank briefcase, where I've always enjoyed was most of the time, like, a heel wins, and then the heel can use it to kind of like taunt and, you know, play mind games with the champion. Be like, oh, I'm going to cash it tonight. Oh, you won't see it coming. I'll come in out of nowhere when you least expect it, or when you're down. All that stuff. So it creates some interesting storylines. And, you know, if you have someone that's on the up on the roster that you think could be the next big thing, you give them the briefcase, and when you're ready to pull the trigger and make them a champion, it's a great way to do it, and put them on that platform, put the rocket on them, and become a champion for the company. So I've enjoyed that aspect, and really it's helped make some stars by who had the briefcase. But in this situation, I mean, God, it's frustrating, because I really think it puts a little asterisk on what was a great TLC match. Yeah.
And it's also kind of like, they probably could have had the same length of a match without him coming out and doing it. So,
well, and now it's like, oh, what's going to happen now? Is like, is he going to hold on to it now for the next few months and try to cash in again? But then if he cashes in again, is he going to win this time? Is he going to lose? I really think this briefcase, or the 2020 briefcase, it's such a... Unless,
and we could tie this into SmackDown a little bit right here. Unless this is something where they are saying that they've given Adam Pearce too much power. Because if he's giving that back, we also saw on SmackDown that they reinstated Sonya,
and we saw Roman getting pissed off, calling he was making those matches.
Yeah.
So maybe it's more or less a storyline for Adam Pearce.
Maybe there's he isn't he up until a few years ago was an active wrestler, so maybe this is a way to transition him in the ring again.
That'd be interesting. And then also, I'm just thinking, for me, it's like this briefcase has been such a letdown. I mean, Otis had it, but didn't really do anything. Miz got it, but even
I mean, my opinion is I don't like the concept in general. So it's just kind of like, the concept to me is a waste. So
well, for me,
I don't like it.
Well, just for me, because like Miz and Morrison have been both booked as just comedic acts as of late, and they're just not legit threats having the briefcase. Like when sure Miz got it from, you know, JBL or whatever, and got the briefcase, I didn't take him seriously. I think most people thought, okay, he has it, but he sure is a little bit more of a threat compared to Otis, but still, he's a comedic act, and you know, either Roman or Drew would kick his ass very easily and just retain their respective titles. So I never saw him as a legit threat. I just saw as he's just a bigger star than Otis was. But even still, I never saw him and he can win this. And now it's like he has it back again. It's like, okay, is he really going to try to cash in on Drew again? Like, I hope Drew doesn't lose the title to him again, because I think that would be such a bad ratings drop. Like The Miz becoming the WWE champion on Monday Night Raw. Like, I respect the guy, and I really respect how he's had a long career in WWE and all of his accomplishments. But I think as of late, I'm sorry, he should not be booked as the face of WWE at this point in his career. This doesn't make sense. So I don't know. I'm with you, Richard. I think this is a bad move, and they should have they had the easy way out. Miz dropped dropped the briefcase. He can be upset, depressed for however long, a couple weeks. Maybe he loses a bunch of matches and then goes off TV and comes back as a repackaged. I don't know. But having the briefcase back on him, I'm not a fan of that, because it really just screws up the continuity of the briefcase over the years. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm not for that. So I'm sure we're gonna get more Miz TV segments now. He's gonna be super cocky and rubbing in people's faces. He has the briefcase still, and it's just gonna get kind of annoying. And that's what I'm worried about. People are gonna be annoyed and turn off from watching Raw. So yeah. Anyway,
I don't think the Miz has that much control over our fans.
In his mind, he does. He's the face of USA Network. So
sure, he's your buddy.
Yeah. So next up, we saw the last segment of the night. So Randy Orton and Alexa Bliss. So Randy Orton comes down to Alexa Bliss's playground, and I was like, is this going to be a match? But instead, Alexa Bliss is, very pissed off, and she has some presents, and she opens up these presents, and it's a thing of gasoline. And, she's like more or less taunting Randy Orton to like set me on fire. And like, you did it to the Fiend, do it to me. And like, Randy's kind of like looking at her kind of what? And then first she spills, a little bit of oil around her, like in a circle, and then drops some of the gasoline to him like a straight line. And Randy's like, heads to no, I'm not going to do it. And then finally she just opens the whole thing, pours it all over herself, and says, do it now. And then Randy finally lights a match, and all of a sudden, right before he throws it, the screen goes black, and we end the show, we end Raw on a cliffhanger. So, Richard, your thoughts on this?
Stay tuned, folks.
I mean, this felt like such a Nitro thing back in the 90s.
I know.
They end on the cliffhanger.
I know I'm in the minority, but this is the stuff I love. So,
really?
I love stuff like this, and I love stuff like the Bobby Lashley Lana wedding. Like, that stuff tickles me. It tickles me.
The real trashy stuff you really love.
If it gets like to the point where it's it's not supposed to be taken seriously, like, I'm for it. Like Sean Stasiak against Bam Bam Bigelow in a tattoo match. Like, that shit for some reason just like tickles me.
Yeah. So I don't know, Tommy, what do you think happened? Do you think Alexa was set on fire, or the Fiend magically saved her, or something like that?
He already killed one person.
Um,
by accident.
He pooped his pants.
He didn't poop his pants. It was seepage.
I'll do this again.
The man, he broke his neck when he gave him the RKO. It was a mistake. And okay, a little bit seeped out.
By the way, so if you don't know,
come out.
If you listen to last week's episode for that whole discussion, we posted the highlight on our social media pages. But I forgot to ask you, Richard, in that moment, you say your dad's from New York. What that have to do with him knowing about men pooping or people pooping?
No,
themselves?
my dad knows how to get rid of bodies.
Oh, okay.
Come on.
So.
Sure, it's upstate New York, but
yeah,
still New York.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So I don't know, Richard. What do you think happened? Do you think Alexa Bliss was set on fire?
Legitimately, yes.
Okay, babe.
I think potentially we could be seeing a new incarnation of Alexa and Bray.
Yeah.
Okay.
That might be what that was.
Okay. That'd be cool. I'm really curious what, especially for the Fiend, what's next for him? How's it? And I
just want to see what it's going to be. Like, that's my excitement with it. Is like, I know it's going to be weird, and I mean the Fiend delivered.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like let's do this.
Well, I think also I'm glad they've been keeping him off TV. Like, they're building it back up. Like, so keep him off TV for a few weeks. And
well, it sounds like we're going to get him on Raw tomorrow.
Hogan's going to be the victim.
Yeah. I mean, look, the last time they did a Legends thing, he took out Kane and Mick Foley, didn't he?
Yeah. Didn't he also take out Kurt Angle, too?
Yeah. Yes. Because those are the photos on the wall behind him.
Watch. He's going to go on a rampage to take out all of them.
Everyone. And he's got Alexa to take out the women.
So the two of them are create havoc tomorrow night. That's what's going to happen.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
That alone, I cannot wait to see what happens. And do you think they'll start off the show with, in case you missed it, this is what happened at the end of Raw last week?
They'll do something.
Yeah, I hope so. You can't leave us on a cliffhanger and not give us the result at some point. So, especially they didn't, I think, announce anything on social media. So this is like back in the 90s where we had to wait a full week for our answer.
Oh.
So remember back in middle school or high school, like, man, so what happened? What do you think's going to happen? We spent Tuesday morning discussing it. I don't know. Is this thing going to come back again next week? I hope so. Take out the NWO, man. So yeah, that wrapped up Raw for this week. All right, moving on over to Wednesday night for NXT. So NXT, it was their last episode for 2020, and like tradition, the last episode of the year is their end of the year award show, which is very cool. I mean, you're not a fan of it, Richard?
No, I don't give a crap about that.
Is any of the,
It's just filler to fill up the show.
it
That's
really
what
did.
It is.
It really did. Like I
skipped all of them.
Oh, really?
All of them.
Well, let's see. So, I mean, just a couple takeaways here. I mean, they have the full list online if you didn't watch the show. But breakout star of the year was Shotzi Blackheart, which is okay. I was kind of, okay, cool. I mean, I was kind of, I forgot who some of the other nominees were, but I was like, okay, cool.
Damian Priest and Thatcher.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of hoping maybe Damian Priest because he won.
Ilya Dragunov.
Yeah, Dragunov. But
Shotzi made the most sense because she was the most visible.
Yeah, and she, was the captain of her War Games team, even though I think she contributed the least in that match.
Part of my reasoning for not liking these types of things is it's always a popularity contest.
Yeah.
Like it's not a legitimate, like, there's no stats. And if people are voting on it like fans, then they're just voting for the person that they like the most. And it doesn't matter at that point.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, the big thing was, for me, a couple of things were, Tag Team of the Year was Undisputed Era, and during their segment, it was announced that the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic is coming back in a couple weeks. And, Adam Cole said that him and Roderick Strong will be representing Undisputed Era as the tag team. So Kyle O'Reilly, he's still going to be by himself, and Bobby Fish is, I guess, going to be hanging out for moral support at that point.
He's hurt again.
You think so? I mean, God, he's been so.
So there was a report after War Games. Yeah, every time
a big match.
Yeah, every War Games, I think too.
Yeah,
he's got the injury bug.
The other thing too was Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly from Takeover 31. Their match won Match of the Year, and that led to the promo later tonight, which we'll get into in a second. I'm trying to think anything else major. Let me look real quick. Austin Theory won Future Star of the for NXT, so hopefully 2021 it's gonna be a big year for him since he's been aligning himself with Johnny Gargano. So all right, let's go run through the show real quick. The show opened up with Bronson Reed take on Isaiah Swerve Scott. Bronson Reed, he's been back now. He had the squash match last week, and he defeats Isaiah Swerve Scott pretty handily here. They did some good back and forth, but Richard, I'm really happy that he's winning right now because I think Bronson Reed, since he lost the North American Championship, that ladder match, I went to takeovers. I think since he's been back now, I think he's going to be the next one to kind of really start making a push for that North American Championship title.
I could see that. I could also see him trying to go for the world title.
Okay.
Because I had that same thought at first when I watched this, and just some of the different things he was doing in the ring and outside of the ring kind of made me think he looks like a main eventer, and Isaiah Swerve Scott looks like the guy that would be going for that North American belt.
That's that's my other thing too. Was Swerve is, he lost to Jake Atlas a couple weeks ago, got pissed and looked like he was starting to turn heel, and then he wins last week to Jake Atlas in the rematch and starts celebrating in his face, and he loses here, so he wins, loses. So I'm like, where does Swerve go in all this? Like, he's probably not going to do cruiserweight stuff.
He looked like Zorg from The Fifth Element, Gary Oldman's character, when he came out. And he just came out with that cocky disposition that was just kind of I dug it. It looked believable. I'm excited to see where both of these guys are going in 2021.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Isaiah Scott. He's such a talented guy. I think he has like that natural look, that charisma, but I feel like he's just missing one thing that really set him off. I don't know what it is. It's tough to kind of explain, but he has the potential to be, I think, like a real suave heel in a way, like a cocky heel. It just shows NXT has really like
he's got that swag.
Yeah, he does. But they have such a fat roster right now that it's really tough, I think, to pick and find your spots and shine because there's so much great talent that they have as well. So I would like to see Swerve get a good push. And I need some Bronson Reed. I mean, these are two guys who I think can be the future of NXT for the next year or two. So for Bronson Reed, Yeah, for both of them. I mean, I could easily see them go for North American. I could see Bronson as well be a legit contender for the main event scene in the distant future. So, no, great opening match just to get things going. Next up, one of our favorite tag teams, the Grizzled Young Veterans. Was it Liverpool's number one?
Yeah, Liverpool's number one tag team.
Taking on Breezango. I don't know about you guys. Did you see Breezango when they came out to the ring? They looked like nonchalant, like they just didn't want to be there. I don't know. Did I misread that body language? The way they were just kind of walking out, like, all right, here we go, another match. Like, did they just find
gonna, take the job? And...
Yeah, did they just find out like 5 minutes beforehand that they're gonna lose here? It's like, I don't know. I just kind of interpreted this.
They were kind of wearing it on their faces that they were losing.
Yeah,
right.
So I don't know. Like, I just kind of like I saw them, like, okay, it's kind of obvious.
You can tell their body language.
Yeah, who's winning here? But no. Great match here, right, Richard? As far as Grizzled Young Veterans do, like, I'm so happy to see them in NXT Prime right now. Hopefully, this is a long-term thing for them. And,
I'd like to see Breezango split and for them to be solo acts, because I think we saw some of where Fandango can kind of handle things one-on-one on this match, and Tyler Breeze is already a proven solo wrestler, so. Yeah. I think it's time to split them up into give Tyler Breeze his old gimmick back, where he was the pretty boy, and he's a phenomenal talent. It's just, Breezango does nothing for anybody, I think.
I always thought when they were a thing, when they really were big, like on SmackDown, or even when coming back on NXT, I really thought, like, treat this like the Rockers, as far as Tyler Breeze turning on Fandango. I hate to compare it to like Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, but Tyler Breeze could be the Shawn Michaels of this, and super kicks or however he wants to beat up his tag team partner, and they split up. And I think Tyler Breeze can, like, I'm not saying be like Shawn Michaels per se, but like start a singles run for himself. That's what I always kind of was hoping for. But now at this point, I don't know if it's a little too late for the momentum that he got, especially when he came back to NXT. But at this point, I would like to see something different from them, because, like, okay, they won the tag titles earlier this year. Great for them. Great little swan song as far as the return to NXT. But after that, it's like, okay, where do you go here? Because they're just veterans at this point who are helping over other talent like Grizzled Young Veterans. And so with that being said, though, I think these two teams are probably going to be in the Dusty Rhodes Classic, if I had to guess. I know they haven't released the brackets yet, but with that being said, do you have any early predictions who might win it this year? I'm anticipating Grizzled Young Veterans, just because they were in the finals last year and lost, had a strong showing. I think this might be a good time for them to win it again, like go back to the finals back-to-back years.
Do we have all the teams in it yet?
Not yet, but it's interesting, though. The last couple years, it's been like the odd couples put together who've won. So last year, we saw Riddle and Pete Dunne win. The year before, it was like Ricochet and Aleister Black. So the traditional tag teams don't actually do well in the Dusty Rhodes Classic. So I'm hoping maybe a traditional tag team can actually win it this year. So that's why I'm hoping Grizzled Young Veterans can do it. So that's what I'm hoping for. Next up, we saw Mercedes Martinez make her in-ring debut, return to NXT, and pretty much a squash match against Valentina Feroz. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it was really
good squash match.
Yeah, she looked just strong as ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she cut a promo afterwards and just put the whole women's division on blast. Like, she's back, look out, and I think we called out Io Shirai. So,
yeah.
I mean, like, the women's division right now, it's kind of exciting because Io is in the balance waiting for someone next. She had a great night as far as winning awards go.
She's got a list of people after her.
I mean, Mercedes Martinez, and then you got to look at Rhea Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez. They got their match next week, and I would imagine the winner there can have legit reasoning to, like, I deserve a title shot.
Tony Storm, Candace.
Amber Moon, Dakota Kai. I mean, dude, there's a lot. I mean, the women's division is so stacked there. It's, there's a lot of options.
Shotzi?
Shotzi. That's the thing, too. So there's a lot of options here. I'm anticipating some of them have to get moved over to Raw or SmackDown soon. I'm curious if
it will be telling who they put in the Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right before WrestleMania. And that's going to be the Royal Rumble is going to be, because I think a couple of the women probably need to leave and go to Raw or SmackDown, help out those respective divisions. And the NXT, that way you kind of let some other people get time to shine against maybe Io Shirai or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Io is due for a Raw or SmackDown call-up. Even Rhea Ripley. I mean, those are the two names I think of right away because they've been dominating most of 2020, Io specifically. So
Yeah.
it should be really interesting to see how this plays out. I mean, the month of January is going to be very telling for their women's division. Yeah. Next up, Pete Dunne taking on Roderick Strong. I love the continuity that they reference because remember when Roderick joined Undisputed Era, he turned on Pete Dunne. And so referencing that from a few years ago. But great, Matt. I mean, come on. Like these two guys.
Top notch.
Yeah, veterans. They're going to go out there and deliver a banger.
They got chemistry.
Yeah, so it was very good there. Next up, so Finn Balor, they win the match of the year with Kyle O'Reilly, and he grabs the award from William Regal, goes out to the ring, and calls out Kyle O'Reilly. And he says, you know what? I don't need some award.
Yeah, this was all just hype for next week and rehashing what they had done to each other in the last match, and then we got my boy.
Yeah, so they talk it out, and Finn Balor's like, I have the championship. That's my my prize. I don't need
the award. It's not. He's just keeping it warm for Karrion Kross.
Well, so they're in the ring talking. We see Scarlett come out and says, you guys have something that belongs to us, and you guys do your thing next week, but it's just pretty much on borrowed time.
Yeah, she pretty much said like, whatever you got going or whatever, the title, whatever, is irrelevant until Karrion Kross gets it or
and then
whatever.
He comes out, with his leather jacket and just like snarling, looking at them, and just said, what did he say? Doomsday's coming, TikTok. So I was like, okay, I was kind of hoping maybe he'd say a little bit more, but I guess Scarlett, that's her job to kind of do more of the talking.
No, he's that's the one thing that they haven't done with NXT and him yet. He is a tremendous promo.
And that's what I want to see more of.
I think they're holding back. They're not pulling the trigger fully with that yet.
I wonder. Okay, well then we see Damian Priest standing right behind him. He turns around and they start brawling it out all over the NXT at the
Capitol Wrestling Center.
Thank you. And then go over the boards there, and then they go through a table, and then Scarlett's just sitting there laughing, staring at them. And Richard, you post that photo on Instagram.
Yeah,
I love
it. It looked like a Renaissance painting.
Yeah, the symbolism there.
He's reaching up. They're both laying like they're dying, and she's like having a great time.
So that was interesting, like the symbolism there as far as, okay, is Scarlett laughing because she knows, like I don't know how to say it, but like she thrives, or I want to say gets off, but like she thrives on seeing Karrion lay out destruction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, so I need to be a badass like Karrion Kross to get a girl like that. That's what it sounds like I need to do. But it got so that whole segment it got both those matches amped up for next week's show for New Year's Evil, which I'm actually looking forward to. So yeah, it's not a takeover per se, but it's a really stacked episode of NXT next week. I'm looking forward to it.
I was looking forward to it. Until I saw how many matches were added. I'm like, I'm not going to get what I want out of this.
Yeah, so 5 matches. So not to jump ahead, but yeah, at the very end of the show, we see Dexter Lumis standing there, and he reveals like all his drawings, his artwork. Yeah, it's going to be 5 matches. So it's going to be the championship match with Finn and Kyle O'Reilly. It's going to be Priest taking on Karrion Kross. The fight pit with Thatcher and Ciampa.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Raquel versus Rhea Ripley. And then last minute added Grand Metalik taking on
Santos Escobar.
So it's 5 matches. So with commercials and stuff, Richard, some of these are probably not going to be more than 10, 15 minutes. So I'm with you. These matches are takeover quality, but it's going to be short
because you've got a cage match that should last at least 15 minutes. You've got a main event title match that the last one went 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. You've got a last woman standing match, but granted, Raquel's a little greener, so 10 minutes maybe at max, but still, is that long enough for a last woman or man standing?
Because last man standing match or last person standing match, whatever you want to call it, those are effective the longer they go because you really believe, okay, they're getting tired, they've been in here for a long time. They really are setting the tone.
They should start the show off hot with the cruiserweight title match.
See, I was thinking they should start with the fight pit match. That way, have it the ring already set up.
No,
And then when they're done, they could take it off during a commercial break.
That should be the semi-main event, because at 8:55 they should show them constructing the cage.
Okay.
And then at 9 o'clock the cage should start. That way you're continuing to watch within the next hour because of the buy rates.
Okay, so you're saying like the first 3 matches be the first hour, and then the last 2 the second hour.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good way to try to get some your bang for your buck as far
you
as
should tease it going in, or do the cage match first. On the show.
Yeah. That way it's already built and set up. You just run a quick video package, get it going.
It's not even that. It's just a matter of when you're tuning in and you're trying to decide which show you're going to watch. Mm-hmm. You see the cage.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it, though. It should be a fun show, and I'm sure they're going to have a run over time past the 10 p.m. Time slot. And then so next up, we saw Legado del Fantasma cutting a promo in the ring saying they're the kings of Lucha Libre. And then Lucha House Party comes out. So Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado, who we just saw on Raw 2 days ago, they come out and say, hey, you guys don't know Lucha Libre or don't represent us, and led to a tag match between them and Legado del Fantasma with Escobar ringside. Mm-hmm. Great match here, high flying stuff, all good stuff here. Mm. I really want to know, will Lucha House Party stay on NXT? They said here from Monday Night Raw, so they acknowledge them as Raw wrestlers or superstars. I kind of want them to stay on NXT and just at least beef out the tag team division.
Yeah. I'm with you there. They've been highlit a little bit better the last 6 months, I'd say, on Raw.
Oh, and SmackDown as well. Remember, Cesaro,
just
Mentally had some good matches. Yeah,
main roster. Yeah. So they've always kept my interest a little bit.
Yeah. So I who knows? Maybe they could be part of the Dusty Rhodes Classic. That's part. This is just a quick little introduction for them, and then next week they'll be announced.
They get more of a time slot on NXT.
Yeah, as well. I think it'd be great for them. Next up was the main event. So NXT North America. Actually, before we get into the main event, before I forget, we haven't talked about this too much last couple of weeks. So we've seen these video packages of oh my god, Xia Li and Boa in these looks like workout video /
Cobra Kai
torture. Yeah, Cobra
it's a training montage.
Training montages, and we come to see like they're getting the crap kicked out of each other, and then you kind of see the wider video shot. And it's the other person beating up the other one. They're like being, they're going through like waterboarding. It looks like a water exercise.
It's like something out of Kill Bill.
Yeah, like they're getting their ass handed to them, their workout regimes, and like they're being reprogrammed as like killer soldiers.
Yeah.
You see like this figure with like makeup and a head cover, along with the older gentleman who's there watching them. So it's like this higher power that they're answering to, who's like their master. And it said after this week's video that they're gonna make their debut again next week. And that's the thing. It said next week, but next week is New Year's Evil. So where are you gonna fit them in on the show?
I don't know. That's why I'm not as excited as I should be for the show.
I know. So what do you think? I mean, I would think once they come back.
I've got no clue. I have no clue on this.
They should be just booked as like, I would imagine like squash matches for the time being. As these killer soldiers, whatever you want to call it. So I hope we get more, backstory of who this person is, and we see them, some explanation. So don't leave us in the dark. Like just show these video packages, and that's all we're ever going to see from those two figures working with them. All right, so main event time. We saw for the North American Championship, Johnny Gargano take on Leon Ruff.
We've seen this match 3 times now.
I know. Yeah. I was like, again.
And it was the main event.
Mm-hmm. And so, and throughout the night, Johnny Gargano was really focused on trying to break the curse, and that was the big thing. So when he came in, they saw the black cat early in the day in the show, down the hall.
They broke a mirror and the ladders, and
ultimately Johnny wins, so he breaks the curse now. So very much like Sasha Banks not too long ago, breaks the curse of winning a title defense. My thing is, like, I just feel bad for Leon Ruff. So ultimately, the last couple months, he was just used as a tool to help Johnny Gargano get over.
You shouldn't feel bad for him. He was in the main event.
True, yeah, but like, where does he go from here now?
Where was he 6 weeks ago?
Nowhere on TV.
Exactly. So don't feel bad for the guy.
He's got a good payday. He gets
like that's Don't get in that train of thought. That train of thought won't get you anywhere.
So
everyone loses.
So I think ultimately we've come to realize in the last 2 months, since Halloween Havoc or wherever it was, this whole storyline was just really for Johnny to win the title, lose it, win it back, and prove to everyone that he can break the curse. So this was a 2-month storyline to prove that he's a legit North American champion. So, all right, cool. Good way to chew up TV for the last 2 months. Great now. So we'll see where it goes
some
now.
Good stuff out of it.
Yeah. Decent episodes of NXT, but next week's episode of New Year's Evil should be really good. I'm looking forward to that a lot. All right, last but not least, moving on over to Friday Night SmackDown. I know, Richard, you and I were talking off the air. This was your show of the week, right?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, so
we got great tag team matches out of thin air on this show.
Yeah, exactly. So we see Roman Reigns and Jey Uso and Paul Heyman come out, start kind of promo. Kevin Owens comes out and interrupts them, and he calls out Jey Uso and wants a fight with him. And we see later on Kevin Owens go backstage, talk to Adam Pearce, and he wants a match against Jey Uso. He's like, hey, I know you're a shot caller. You can make matches happen. I want Jey Uso. He's like, no, can anyone else on the SmackDown roster? He's like, all right, I'll take Roman Reigns. And Adam Pearce is like, no, why are you doing this to me? And then ultimately he does make the match happen later on in the night. And that leads to Roman and Jey looking at TV with the announcement. They're pissed off. And then Roman tells Paul Heyman to go find out who made this match happen. So I really like your theory, Richard, of maybe Adam Pearce, a storyline for him is he's starting to get a little too power hungry as far as making things happen on Raw and SmackDown respectively. So that's something to keep your eye out for, is what Adam Pearce's role is moving forward. Next up, we saw Intercontinental Championship match with Big E taking on King Corbin. Sami Zayn was there. Decent match. Was it Knights of the Lone Wolf were there. I wish these guys would get better outfits than was it look like blue dickies, a hoodie, and a shirt.
They're cool.
Well, no, they got a sports coat on.
Oh yeah,
sports
that's
classy. That's my look. You
ready to go wrestle now in that outfit?
Yeah. I'll do it.
Well, they should give them some new gear and make them a tag team as well. I want to see them start competing.
They weren't wrestling.
Well,
so why would they be in their gear? Standing out there with their wieners hanging out? Come on, Danny. They're not wrestling. They don't need their gear.
I guess I'm so used to in WWE TV over the last, I don't know how many years, where guys who are not in a match but they're coming out for support are in their gear too. And then I think, was it Robert Roode a couple weeks ago? Mary came out with Dolph, and I
don't hear you complaining when MVP is out there in someone's corner and you're not saying, why isn't he in his gear?
And said he's in a nice suit. That's a good point.
Come on. It's nitpicking.
But I'm saying I want these guys to eventually turn into something. So the main thing with this,
they will. I think they're getting them back on track again, because they came in hot when they did, and you know, stuff happened, and they were off of TV again. And I think they're going to build them back up, because they looked like they were going to be the tag team champions when they debuted.
Yeah, the Foregone Sons back in earlier this year. So we see Big E get the win over King Corbin. Sami Zayn comes in and interferes. And then everyone gangs up on Big E and starts attacking him. And then Apollo comes out for the save, and then it turned into a tag team match. And then so we saw Big E and Apollo Crews.
I like that it was Apollo. I don't know why, for some reason, which is kind of this is good for Apollo.
Well, it's long overdue. He got drafted to SmackDown, and he hasn't done anything. And he had a decent U.S. title run on Raw, which I was happy for him. It's finally he got that title, and it was a big storyline, because finally this guy who'd been called up for years hadn't done anything significant. He finally won the U.S. Championship, and it was a big deal. And it was the early stages of the Hurt Business as he was taking on. So,
and he's in there with 3 relevant people.
Yes.
So if he's not the most relevant person, he's getting the rub from Corbin and Sami Zayn and Big E, which is great.
Yeah, so I'm glad Apollo came out and made the save, and they had a great match here. And Apollo ultimately got the victory. He powerbombed Sami Zayn after King Corbin and his knights left him hanging, and Apollo wins. And so him and Big E were celebrating after the match. They're walking backstage, and they're celebrating, and then Caleb Braxton comes up and for an interview. And I love Big E's promo here. He's talking about, the fans come celebrating. He name drops from Rome to Rochester, Brody Lee is from, says, the kids coming from a distance, celebrate with me. Amanda is Brody Lee's wife. Nolan's one of his sons. So I just love the name drops, the Easter eggs, as paying tribute to him. So that was very cool. And then a Big E's like, I'm going to start an open challenge starting next week. And then Paul immediately jumped in and says, I want to be your first challenger. And he brought up a good point. He's like, hey, I helped you out against your match with Sami Zayn when he was one of the Lumberjacks. He brought Sami Zayn back into the ring for the win there and helped him win tonight. So Apollo has legit,
former champion. Why not?
Yeah, and he's a former U.S. champion, so this is a great opportunity. So that should be a good match next week on SmackDown. It was made official. So I'm curious. I don't see Big E dropping that title 2 weeks later after just winning it. So, but it should be a good competitor for Big E. Next episode, the Riot Squad take on Tamina and Natalia.
Whoa. There was something that happened at the beginning of this.
Well, Billy Kay. It was announced like Billy Kay was going to have an opponent or a teammate. Yep. And it was Tamina, and then all of a sudden Natty comes out, and then Billy Kay just left there, and they're both looking at her like, get away. So Billy Kay is like all of a sudden turned into just a manager. She's helping, cheering them on, and they're like, get away. And then she goes over to the Riot Squad side, and was cheering them on, and Riot Squad ultimately wins, and then Billy Kay starts celebrating.
She's my favorite right now on SmackDown.
Yes, I'm with you. This was my favorite match of the week. And it made the best show of the week for me because Billy Kay was so damn entertaining throughout this entire thing. Because at one point she decided that she's going to go cheer on the Riot Squad. and you just hear her squawking the entire time.
Her voice is like piercing through the noise.
No way she squawks and all that. It reminds me of Sherry Martel.
Yes, I thought this was the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's what she reminds me of.
The
sensational Sherry Martel.
The Riot Squad had a fantastic showing, and I love the pairing of Tamina and Natalia. And those are two people I'm never really hot on.
Okay.
But they seemed like a legit tag team, and they're both second generation, and they're both veterans, so it's like, that's a cool pairing.
I wonder if that could be something long-term that they can stick together with that we haven't seen before.
Exactly. As long as Tamina doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, I know it sums up her whole career in WWE.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
But so for Billy Kay though, where does she go though? She should just be a manager?
I don't know. I want to know what that thing was at the end that she was doing.
And do you see on Twitter someone put like a Day to Remember as the soundtrack? Yeah. So she's like, dude, like hardcore metal. Oh
my God,
it was awesome. It was great. So. I know Billy Kay, amazing for.
It was like she was backstroking swimming, but she was standing up.
It's like brilliant. To her credit, like literally everyone was when the Iconics broke up, everyone was so focused on what's Peyton Royce. Oh, Peyton Royce is the one who's going to get the big push.
Not this guy. This guy.
Everyone was so focused on Peyton Royce and what's next for her, and everyone seemed to forget about Billy Kay. And Billy Kay, who literally had like nothing on SmackDown, has
maximizing her screen time. And every time she's on your screen,
she's so charismatic. She's funny. It shows that maybe she was the true star out of the two.
I told you. I
know.
She because like Peyton is fantastic in the ring, and she's great with Billy. But But we've never really got to see her character one-on-one.
Yeah.
And Billy was always just the louder of the two, and in wrestling, the loudest person is always the most heard. So
yeah. So I'm excited for Billy. What's next? Like I mean I would like to see her wrestle, but I think she could be a really effective manager.
Yeah.
So maybe she could do both. Like Sherry wrestled and managed. Yep. So I would
put. Here you go. For Tommy's sake of saying Sherry, they should put her as the manager for Corbin, King Corbin.
Okay, so on a side note, so you did mention Sonya Deville did show up, and they showed her walking backstage. One of the people she walked by was Billy Kay was standing there talking to the Knights of I keep wanting to say Knights of Ren from Star Wars, but the Knights
of Camelot,
the Lone Wolf, and Baron Corbin, who was dressed up in a suit. So maybe that's a little Easter egg. Maybe Billy Kay can start working with them. But yeah, Sonya Deville comes back. And they said she was reinstated. Cool. I mean, I'm glad, her real life events, which we talked about. It seems like it's been over 4 months. Was it SummerSlam when she left originally after that losing to Mandy Rose?
Right. Yeah.
So it's been over 4 months since we've seen her on TV. So glad that she's back. I think she could be a big help for the women's division on SmackDown. That's going to be a pretty stacked. Wow, the Sasha, Bianca, Carmella, Bayley, Sonya. You got Asuka and Charlotte who can come over with the tag titles. SmackDown's women's division is really starting to shape up. It's going to be really good. So looking forward to that. And speaking of Bayley and Carmella, they took on Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair.
Very good match.
Yeah, I mean, God, these are the 4, as far as storyline goes, the top women who've been getting the most TV time. And Carmella, to her credit, she's probably she's been stepping up her performance as well with these other.
I told you so.
Well, that's the thing. It's like that's the thing for me.
That's the third person that they've tried to give that gimmick to.
Yeah,
and she's the first one to actually maneuver it.
And you're talking about
Eva Marie, Evolution, and now
Lana.
we got Carmella. I didn't even consider Lana. Because we knew that her in-ring wasn't going to be good.
What would you describe what the gimmick is? Like this sexy, over-the-top...
Sexy, over-the-top, arrogant, like starlet. You know, like diva. Yeah. That's the best word I can use to describe it. She's, that it's basically the Maurice character, but with a higher presentation and time to wrestle in a ring. So
yeah. I love, like, Corey Graves now at this point is just so vocal.
Look at Mella.
How much he loves her. I mean, real life girlfriend. So he's like being so obvious now. Yeah. No, great match. And I think with Carmella, by being in the ring with Bayley, Sasha, and Bianca, they're all very talented. So I think her game gets naturally just brought up as well. I
love these pairings, though. Like, they're awesome. Like, if you look at this is why this should show you why they should have one tag team title. Because it looks more stacked now. Like on Raw, you've got Shayna and Nia. Mm-hmm. You've got Charlotte and Asuka. Mm-hmm. You've got Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose. Mm-hmm. On SmackDown, we've got the 4 teams in these matches we just saw. Mm-hmm. But on NXT, you can mix up Indy Hartwell and Candice, Dakota Kai and Raquel. Like, it just makes it for, like, you don't know when the champions are going to show up, or maybe you do, but like they've got competition wherever they go, and you're not going to see the same matches every week because it's like you don't know when the champions are going to show up.
Yeah, so no, great match here, and so all 4 of them have storylines together. So moving forward, they're all probably going to be still very much interconnected up until Royal Rumble, and so I wonder who Sasha Banks' opponent could be. I think Bayley and Bianca Belair, I want to see that play out more. I want to see them go at it more.
I think we're going to get Mella and Sasha again.
A rematch?
Especially after Carmella just beat Sasha, so she's got a reason to have a title match.
Yeah.
She just pinned the champion.
Next up, we see the Street Profits come out for their New Year's Day Smoketacular. Typical entertaining promo.
Was what it was, but the beatdown after Bobby Roode especially.
Angelo Dawkins' credit, showing a little drum beating. He's good, the drummer. But the beatdown Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode laid out.
That was great.
So good. And they got new T-shirts as Dirty Dog. So I guess that's their name now.
I liked it.
So, and then they cut a promo backstage or interview and said they're tired of the crap Street Profits has been, poking at them, making fun of saying like a cheap Shawn Michaels, all that stuff. So, all right, I like seeing the heels get a little heat here as far as building up some animosity and grudge. So it's really going to be a grudge match moving forward. So that's cool. Next up, another tag team. It was a lot of tag team matches.
And this was very good as well.
This was my favorite match of the night.
Daniel
This
Bryan.
is tremendous. And on paper, it looked like nothing.
Daniel Bryan and Otis with Chad Gable in their corner taking on Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. As they're coming to the ring, we see what happened earlier in the day. Daniel Bryan, Otis, and Chad were working out in the ring, prepping for the Royal Rumble because Daniel Bryan was the first person announced. And he's trying to lift Otis from the hips, and he's just thrusting him like, over and over.
It's a hip exercise.
Cesaro and Shinsuke come up and are like, what is going on here? And Cesaro's at the blind, leading the blind. But you could tell, like, they were trying to hold it in from laughing because you see Daniel Bryan just thrusting Otis over and over. And Otis is like, So,
oh, yeah.
So, that led to the match here. I was telling Tommy beforehand, because I watched it first before him. I told him, watch Otis. I thought Otis's performance was much better.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Because the other three you don't have to worry about at all.
Yeah.
And then Otis was great in it. It was 2 thumbs up to me.
Because Daniel Bryan did the majority of the work. Otis got the hot tag. And when he came in, he really sold or worked like a big man as far as the power moves. He did his own lariat clothesline in there. But really, the guys were performing up to him. Like, he was the big guy coming in to make the save. So really, whatever he's been working on, that's been one of the guys that was rumored to go back to the Performance Center for big man training. I'm starting to see some of that play out on SmackDown this week.
And Raw. Like, you're seeing, we saw a more dominant Keith Lee where he's not taking as many bumps.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're just training them to get rid of the crappy indie wrestling stuff where the big man sells for the small guy.
Yeah, like they would run into Otis and Otis stood there and they like fell back. So it was really believable that Otis was becoming like a dominant big man. He's not tall, but he's super thick. So he still has a strong presence, and they're really showing that out of him. So I really enjoyed this tag match, and Daniel Bryan and Otis get the win. Daniel Bryan locked up Shinsuke and he tapped out. So good match. I wonder, is this going to be a tag team we're going to see for a little bit, or they're going to work, or maybe in the Royal Rumble?
I think there's just the workout for the Royal Rumble, because I think we're going to get Gable and Otis as a tag team. Yeah, which I'm for.
Absolutely.
And then next up was the main event. Kevin Owens taking on Jey Uso. Kind of a short match.
Yeah, I was just going to say quick match, and then a pretty good beatdown after our brawl.
Yeah, because I saw like Kevin Owens beat Jey Uso pretty quickly, and I looked, there was still like 9 minutes left in the show.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And then, Kevin calls out Roman Reigns to come out. No one's coming out. And then Jay starts beating up, and they go over to like the Thunderdome screens, and all of a sudden Roman Reigns comes out of nowhere. He starts beating the crap out of Kevin Owens, and it's 2-on-1. They take the handcuffs that Jay had originally, that Kevin handcuffed him to the ropes, took it, used it on him. They were beating him up with the chairs. And then finally Roman just took Kevin, threw him off the second story onto the table, and that ended the show with Kevin Owens just laying there, knocked out. Yeah, so great finish there, and just Roman standing tall, looking down. It's like, you call me out, you jeopardize my family, or you call me out, you put matches together without my approval. This is what happened. So the repercussions of crossing Roman Reigns, I love that there are actions, there's results to these actions that wrestlers can't get by on Roman Reigns on that. It was awesome. I really just dug all that stuff. So great main event for SmackDown. And so it looks like Kevin Owens, I love it. I think he's, building himself out as a credible baby face, but I just worry he's just going to be used as a what's the word, Tommy? A rag doll for Roman Reigns for the next few weeks. Yeah. He's just going to keep getting beat up for Roman Reigns.
He just has to get through January.
Like I said, he's kind of like Mick Foley at this point.
Just taking a beating from him. So, no, good stuff here. And we're on the road to Royal Rumble. And then, I can't believe it. After that, we'll be on the road to WrestleMania. So here we are. 2021 is going to be a very busy month as it is, and winter and springtime for WWE. So good stuff. Looking forward to all that. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up this week's episode of In The Kliq. Richard, where can all the Kliqsters find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at Pro Wrestling 101.
Tommy?
And nowhere else.
Yes. How about you?
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, but if you follow me on Instagram, check out my post. I posted, it was his pro wrestling debut. It was Rick Steiner's son, Bronson. He looks like $1 million. He is built like Scott Steiner. He's got a good physique. He needs a lot of polishing. He's still greener than goose, crap, but this guy is a future star in the making. That's all I got to say.
Do you think it was green poop that came out of the Bray Wyatt when he before he got burnt?
There was rigor mortis.
Yeah.
So
sorry.
It wasn't poop. It was just seepage. It was what was in them, and it, fluid.
Bodily fluids, all that.
Just bodily fluids. It's I'm sure other stuff came out of other places. What?
We have like this scat fetish all of a sudden.
What?
That should be the Bray Wyatt's finisher. He's the scat man.
He's the scat man.
Scat
man. Scat man.
Damn it. I'm Baby Huey. Follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey83. Subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. Also on YouTube, and get the new t-shirts over at Teespring. All the links are up on our social media pages, so follow us there. Thank you for the support. 2021 is going to be an awesome year. I hope things are going to turn around sooner rather than later. Get back to normal. But yeah, we'll be here for your pro wrestling entertainment. We're going to try to watch Wrestle Kingdom this week and maybe do a review as well. So a lot of good stuff happening in the month of January alone. So we can't thank you guys enough for all the support and listening. So on that note, let's go home. And that's the bottom line because Huey said so.